midnight haze, chasing shadows in the darkest maze. Footsteps echo in the empty hall, mysteries waiting on our call. Bigfoot stomping through the pines, aliens sending secret signs. EVPs in the dead of night, ghosts dancing in the pale moonlight. Paranormal form, when we bring it to you. Truth behind the veil, gotta pursue you.
All right.
All right. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. Man, we've got a great show tonight.
We do.
I'm excited about tonight's show.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about Dennis Martin.
Yes.
I'm sure most people out there have heard of this case. It's been known pretty widely, and missing 411, Mr. David Paulides has really kind of brought a lot of this stuff to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of shows have been done about it over the years.
Yeah, and a lot of books been written.
A lot of books. We're hoping that we could bring this to you informational wise a little bit differently. We were lucky enough to get an unnamed source that worked in the Smoky Mountains, the Forest Service, to give us a bunch of documents. 86 pages to be exact. Some are handwritten and some are not. We also have some of the released FBI files of this. So we're going to kind of go through a lot of this stuff tonight. And, I think that in the end, it's still going to be a mystery.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we've got a smoking gun or anything here.
But it's definitely interesting to talk about.
It's very interesting. And I do think that with some of the handwritten notes and stuff that we have that you'll be able to see and things like that you're going to get to see some of the behind the scenes that some people leave out. Maybe you don't even know about, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
So, just kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. And we look forward to giving you this information. And what's cool is that we're going to pull up the information when we're talking about it.
Yes.
You're going to get to see these pages with us. So you're not going to just be like, oh yeah, what are they reading from? You're literally going to get to see the pages that were given to us from an ex-Forest Service member. So
yeah.
Worker.
Now, a lot of the FBI files, I know I got them off the internet from.
Yeah. Hey,
Howdy.
Roger. How you doing?
And they are redacted, but
that's the problem with that kind of stuff.
The Forestry Service files are not redacted. So I wonder what the difference is. Could it be a cover up?
Well, we'll kind of get into a little bit of that, right? Because a lot of the things, his father, William, was not told about. And there was things that he went to his grave knowing that they kept a lot of things from him.
Yes.
So I think tonight will be, like I said, it's going to be a very interesting show and everything. Hello, Shale. Hello, Roger. Thanks for tuning in. So, Dennis Martin was a child of quiet curiosity, his eyes wide with the wonder of the Smokies. He was born with the learning challenges. He did find solace in the rhythms of nature, tagging along on family hikes since he could walk. Now, the Martins' annual camping trip was a rite of passage. It was a bond forged over crackling fires and whispered stories. Excuse me. On June 14th, 1969, it was a day that began with laughter. The air smelled of pine, damp earth, as Dennis played hide and seek near Spence Field. Now his crimson shirt flashed like a cardinal's wings before he ducked behind some rhododendron thickets. Minutes later, his father, William, scanned the woods, calling his name. Nothing answered back.
Mm.
That's scary as a parent.
Yeah, I mean, and I've heard it was just like 3 minutes.
Yeah. There was no.
And he was gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, by nightfall, the sky erupted. Rain lashed the mountains, turning trails into rivers. It felt like the forest itself swallowed him, William later said. The storm's fury erased footprints, drowned cries, and left searchers gasping at shadows.
A lot of searchers.
A lot. And we'll get into that too, because these searchers were not only forest workers, people who worked in the Forest Service, but they ended up getting military people to come in.
Yeah.
And not only just any military people, but there was also special forces people that came in there.
Yeah.
Some Green Berets.
Mm-hmm.
I think altogether there's like 40 or so Green Berets.
Yeah.
So it's
So
really interesting.
You had the Air Force, the Air National Guard. You had the Special Forces. Everybody wanted to help.
Yeah.
Even the Boy Scouts was there.
His father didn't leave the mountain for 6 weeks.
Yeah. I mean,
wanting to be part of everything that happened.
And there's a lot of, a lot of theories about it.
Yeah. I mean, it gets kind of crazy because at some point, they start getting inundated from psychics.
Oh, yeah.
Telling them, hey, you'll find him here, there. I mean, one of the psychics, and I might be jumping ahead, but one of the psychics actually said that he's forever 6 and living in a place where he will be forever 6.
Hmm.
Is that not crazy?
That is. That's
some
sad.
Peter Pan stuff right there now. Like, I don't know. That's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, you got a lot of theories. The abduction theory. I like this one, the feral human theory. We're going to get into that a little bit.
We will, because after it happened, and the Forest Service actually kind of tried to cover it up. But it was a local Knoxville news anchor or something that was doing some research on it, found the people who said that they saw someone carrying a boy off, and someone screaming.
And he had a red shirt.
And he had a red shirt on. Yeah.
Mm.
So we'll get in. There's a lot of information here. Excuse me. And the problem with it is that, we're going to have to skip a little bit to get this out in an hour show. So
yeah, it's a lot of information.
Like I said, we was lucky enough to be given from a ex-Forest Service worker 86 pages of stuff. And I don't think that too many people have some of the stuff that y'all are going to be able to see tonight. So it says at. So without further ado, you want to start, Jason?
Sure will.
Here we go,
so
everybody.
Here's an original reward, $5,000 reward leading to the information and the safe return of Dennis Lloyd Martin. So I think that was the family offering that reward.
Yep, it was. Yep.
Let's see here. Also, if you don't know where Spence Field is, it's in a district of Cates Cove, so it's part of Cates Cove.
Yep, not even 30 minutes away from Cates Cove.
And so Dennis Martin, he was 6 years old.
It was just a week away from his 7th birthday.
Yeah, sad.
Yeah, feral people, Roger.
He vanished on June 14th during a family camping trip in the Great Smoky Mountains.
Yep.
So every year around Father's Day, this was almost a rite of passage.
I mean, a rite of passage. It was just something.
It was a tradition that they did. They went camping and they loved it. Um, so he was accompanied by his father, grandfather, older brother, and I think a few cousins, a couple
Yep.
of cousins.
Yep.
And he was last seen around 4:30 p.m. on in the Spence Field area on June the 14th. Now, this is the Spence Field area is on the Appalachian Trail in the Great Smoky Mountains. He was wearing a red T-shirt, short green trousers, and a low-cut Oxford shoes with a simple heel. Now, remember that. Remember that shoe.
Yep. Remember the shoe. Remember the, that he was wearing a red T-shirt also, for sure.
Yeah. So Mr. Martin stated that his son is a quiet boy and he would not call out, but would answer to strangers. He also stated that Dennis was a special education. He was in a special education group at school, and his mental age is only just a half of a year behind what he should be.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
So Dennis, his father, grandfather, his name was Clyde, and an older brother, Douglas 9, had come to the Spence Field after spending the previous night at the Russell Field shelter just 2 miles west of Spence Field. They camped in the shelter cabin at the west end of the field for one night. There were several adults of this group, including William Martin. They were sitting in a grassy spot to the southwest of the Anthony Creek trailhead, watching Dennis, Douglas, and two other boys of the group all playing near the top of and parallel to the Anthony Creek trailhead. We do have maps, but I can't put them on here.
So here is a map that is it's a really close view of Spence Field shelter area. I don't know if you can really see it there.
Yeah.
Your camera's not on either, is it?
No.
It's hard to see it it's kind of whitewashed out. But you can kind of see the Spence Field area here. It's kind of marked in the map behind us.
Yeah.
On the green screen.
Anthony Creek's right here.
Yeah.
So, according to Douglas Martin, the boys decided to sneak up and surprise the adults. Douglas and the two other boys went south and then west and came upon the adults, while Dennis went northwest. So, as it were, and he intended to come upon the adults from a north to south direction. The time the boys parted was the last time Dennis was seen. The adults reported that they saw the boys split up. He was last seen on the Tennessee side of Spence Field. It should be noted here that the state line between Tennessee and North Carolina runs along the apex of the field along the Appalachian Trail. And the Spence Field is a
grassy area.
Yeah, a grassy area running east and west on the main Great Smoky Ridge. Is approximately 2.5 miles to the next shelter to the west. Russell Field is the other shelter, and approximately 5 miles to the next shelter to the east, which was Derrick Knob. Their trails available to the Spence Field are Anthony Creek and Boat Mountain on the Tennessee side, and Eagle Creek and Jenkins Creek Trail on the north side, on the North Carolina side. The Boat Mountain access is a truck and Jeep trail, and 5.5 miles available for truck use, and the last 1.5 miles is Jeep only.
That's crazy.
I'm trying to catch these slides up. I can't see it on this screen. I may be too far on the screen.
I think you are. I think we just went on 3 on mine. 4. We're on page 4 right now.
Okay.
See at the top, 4 of 86.
Yeah. So we're on 4. Yeah, it's hard to read this. It's kind of light.
Well, you got it to where we can't even see them talking to us, Kenny.
Yeah, I'll take it back.
But that's cool, though. I like that view. So, on this right here, Mr. Martin stated between 3 and 5 minutes after last seeing Dennis. What's up, Roy? He became concerned and began calling for him. Now, he quickly went west as far as Little Bald, approximately 1 mile, and then returned thinking Dennis might be back with the others. He then went west again to Russell Field, 2.5 miles, and returned to Spence Field. Now, Mr. Clyde Martin, grandfather, came down to Anthony Creek Trail to Cades Cove and informed rangers around 8:30 p.m. Wow.
So that's approximately 3 hours.
Yeah.
From 4:30 to 8:30.
Well, that'd be 4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah. Cades Cove seasonal naturalist Terry and his wife were checking out. Now, this was in his personal automobile. They drove 5 miles. They turned around and hiked 1.5 miles to Spence Field. They arrived at Spence Field at 7:30 and learned of the missing boy. They had not seen anything en route. On their return, they picked up Bill Martin, Dennis's father. They led him out at the junction of Boat Mountain Road and Laurel Creek. So Laurel Creek Road is the main paved road leading into Cades Cove. Been to Cades Cove? That's Laurel Creek Road. So, and it'll get better, everybody. We're just trying to catch you up on what happened. Now, they walked up to Anthony Creek and Ledbetter Ridge Trail to Russell Field, and then on to Spence Field. Now, Ranger Nielsen, with Bill Martin, approximately 5 to 10 minutes later, had him out and drove up Boat Mountain Road to Spence Field in a Jeep. They also talked to some hikers in Spence Field, and also came on a fisherman who walked up from Hazel Creek up the Jenkins Trail. Also talked to some hikers who came out from Fontana Dam, and none of those had seen the missing boy. So all these people were looking again, or they were looking for the missing boy, and nobody had seen him. So now they notified dispatch and park headquarters around 8:28 p.m. And the dispatcher turned on the radio tape recorder and notified Chief Ranger, Snedden, and North District Ranger Morris.
Mm-hmm.
Now, heavy rainstorms and thunder showers moved in the park around dark and hampered search activities. The precipitation was estimated to be 2.5 inches or more in the Spence Field area. All streams were high and turbulent. Rangers and family members searched the immediate area around where Dennis was last seen for the rest of the night. Like you said, it seemed like the park was trying to get rid of all the evidence.
Yeah, it was trying to swallow him up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
had a crew of 30 men with 5 leaders.
Wasn't a good night.
No. 10 crews of 2 to 4 men with 10 leaders. and they set up a camp at Spence Field, and they obtained a helicopter if possible.
Hmm.
So now this is just some of the things that happened.
Yeah. So, park rangers and maintenance personnel, Sevier County Rescue Squad, Blount County Rescue Squad, Smoky Mountain Hiking Club, and various individuals were contacted and directed to be at Boat Mountain at 5 a.m. the morning of June the 15th, 1969. So now it's the next day.
Yep.
It's already rained. I mean, it's flooded, really.
They said 2.5 inches at least.
At least. That's a lot of rain. Even the creeks would probably overflow. The crevices was probably running water.
It'd be hard to spot footprints.
Yeah.
I mean, be able to find somebody after something like that would be almost impossible.
So experienced personnel and other experienced persons began a search down the west prong of the Little River, Anthony Creek, Little Bald, and Spencefield drainages. So Ranger Phillips walked up to Eagle Creek Trail to Spence, and it was the only trail not accounted for on the 14th. So this is something new that they're searching a new area. The trail search continued with 2 visitors, horse party going up Anthony Creek, one on the trail to Spence Field, the other on Ledbetter Ridge Trail to Russell Field. Also, 30 Boy Scouts camping at what was that?
Derek K.
Yeah.
Derek Knob. Yep.
No, they were camped at Russell Field and walked down Jenkins Ridge Trail.
30 Boy Scouts camped at Derek Knob.
Oh, and then there was 8 Boy Scouts camped at Russell Creek.
Yes.
Or Russell Field down the Jenkins Trail.
Yep.
So Ranger Nichols contacted 51 Ranger students from Lake City. And this was in Florida, Lake City. That I guess they had a school there for Rangers. And it was a junior college who were on a field trip. They were on a field trip near Franklin, North Carolina, and they were directed to this area to help with the search. So 9 Jeeps, 4 Rangers Jeeps, 2 maintenance, and 3 JCCC
whatever that is
Jeeps, and 3 maintenance stake track trucks were used to transport searchers to Spence Field and provide shuttle service from parking areas for volunteers and others.
Right. Now, Tony Stark is here.
Yeah, I seen that in this. Tony Stark has made his presence in the search.
Wow. How could Iron Man not find him? Hello, only Oscars.
Hello.
We're still on. Yeah, we're on page 5. That's what we're on.
Okay. So Tony Stark, he was the chief resource management and visitor protection. The southern region in Richmond, Virginia was contacted, and approval was obtained to hire a helicopter to transport equipment to establish a base camp at Spence Field. And this was done by a helicopter working in the immediate area. So Ranger Pledger contacted various North Carolina rescue squads. Mrs. William Martin arrived in the cove around 12 noon. Local newspapers and radio stations picked up the report and began to get the information out. I can't see that.
Ranger Mike Myers.
Yeah, Ranger Mike Myers contacted Dr. Robert F. Lash, FAA and CAB medical examiner from Knoxville. This initiated the excellent cooperation received from the McGee-Tyson Air Force personnel. Dr. Lash recommended and Ranger Myers contacted the Western Air Rescue. So as you can see, there's a lot of people already involved the next day, that morning.
Macon, Georgia. I've been to Macon, Georgia.
Yeah. So, the search for Dennis, it was the largest in the park's history.
Yeah, they said that even though this tragedy happened, there's one good thing that did come out of it. They learned how to properly search for people.
Mm-hmm. Superheroes and supervillains.
Yes. They said that this right here is what allowed them to learn how to properly organize and properly go out and try to find somebody. So if anything did come of this that was good, that's one thing that did.
Yeah.
Because they were running around like a bunch of, blind people with no braille.
There was one lead that we'll get into later that was overlooked and should have been followed up with.
Yep.
That wasn't.
Yeah. I think that there was a few like that for sure.
Yeah.
Royce says he's in the house and we're all in for it. So now by Monday, June 16th, 1969, they continued searches around the drainages and trailheads. They previously checked places, especially the immediate drainages from Spence Field. Now, Rangers Nielsen and Hoffman took several rescue squad personnel into the brush and began a grid pattern search. Mr. Hugh or Skip Trotter from Sevierville, Tennessee, president of Tennessee Association of Rescue Squads, met with staff personnel and planned to organize the rescue squad effort on a larger scale to involve more necessary manpower. Now, units from Middle Tennessee, East Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, Georgia eventually came into the search as mentioned earlier. Now, North Carolina rescue squads were active in the area south of Spence Field, including Fontana Lake. Now, the Air National Guard, the 134th Air Rifle Group, McGee-Tyson Air Base, Knoxville, Tennessee, sent 17 men to Cades Cove. McGee-Tyson Air Base was the MPS contact, almost entirely for the military aspect. Now, telephone calls and other military units and liaisons, these military people initiated much action on their own, such as obtaining several volunteers from the Air Guard group. They did have a heliport that was established at Cades Cove immediately. And Captain Warren of the 119th Tactical Control Squad of Air National Guard became the liaison officer to the MPS for the helicopter operations. The 119th supplied ground to air communications and fuel. It got big. It really did.
Yeah.
It's crazy how far a kid can get from where they were originally. Yes.
Well, that's one of the problems that I have with this search. There was a sighting 5 miles by some campers, I believe, 5 miles from where he disappeared.
Well, some people came into the park and asked, "Where's the best place we can see bears? We want to see bears."
Yeah.
And so they was like, "Oh yeah, you go up to such and such place." we'll get to it here in a second, in a couple minutes, I know. But so they're on their way up to such and such place. Then they hear scream.
Yes, the scream.
They hear scream, and they all look. And at first, the kids think it's a bear, but the father's like, no, that's a man hiding in the bushes.
Mm-hmm.
Like an unkempt kind of man hiding in the bushes. And then all of a sudden, he's running from tree to tree, trying to stay unnoticed, but he's got something over his shoulder.
And it was something red.
Something red.
And this was 5 miles from the camp where he disappeared, and they said it was too far for him to travel.
Right.
But it was downhill.
But
he could, if he was carrying him, he could have made it downhill.
Well, the father and one of the park rangers did the hike and did it in more than enough time than what they said that they could have done. Only Oscar says never asked to see the bears.
Yeah, that's another lead that didn't get followed through with, though.
Yeah, not at all. Didn't even get touched. Well, and that's what a lot of people think too, right? Bigfoot activity, tree to tree hiding.
Feral people.
Feral people is another that keeps coming out. And, you know, if you take Native American lore, legends and lore, you know, they used to come in and steal women and children.
Yeah.
And what's weird is that when he saw his son hide, he never saw him again. And he wasn't that far away.
Yeah.
20 yards or so. So
you got 20 yards and 3 minutes to disappear. Could you do it? And something as vast as the Appalachians, yeah.
Well, I mean, you're right on one of the main trails that go all the way through the Appalachians. He was right there on one of the main trails.
If he wandered off by himself in 3 minutes, he wouldn't have got far.
Nope.
He would have heard them calling him.
Yes.
I think he was abducted.
He was abducted.
By
now,
something.
Where? Are there feral people? Ha Roy says, I thought that was a gypsy. Only Oscars, yes. The same individual who gave us all 86 of these documents that we have that we're talking about, some of them tonight. And let's see if I can find it here.
Gave us maps.
He gave us maps of stuff.
And they're pinpointed locations on this maps.
Let's see here. Where was it? Right here. So I'm not going to give away all of our secrets because we are going to go on a feral people hunt this year.
Yeah.
And this comes from someone who worked for the park services and told us where he was told by his bosses when he worked there where you could find feral people. And we have maps that he has given us on where this could be. And so we're going to go in search of some feral people this year. We'll see how that works. Why would anyone want to be feral? I can see off grid, but feral.
I think it's not want to be. I think it's had to be. Maybe. What do you think?
Maybe. I mean, the thing is that
just like a feral cat,
right?
It wasn't raised properly. It was raised out in the wild, and
supposedly in the mountains of East Tennessee and everything, and North Carolina. There are pockets, supposed to be pockets of people who are completely feral. They don't live in society at all and possibly have never lived in society, or at least for generations have not lived in society. So they do whatever they do to get, whatever they need.
Whatever they need to live.
Yeah. And
to survive.
And so homeless gone bad. Possibly. But I know that from some of the tales, it's supposed to be generational. So these are supposed to be groups of individuals who have for generations not been introduced into society, that they have purposefully stayed away from society for generations and just kind of become feral, or at least what we call feral, right? Yes, it is pretty crazy. And there's a lot of stories up here about it. Kentucky, East Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, all up and through this part of the Appalachian Mountains and everything. A lot of stories of feral people. And we are going to go look for some this year. Just like we're going to go to the land between the lakes.
Yeah.
Do some dog man hunting. Literally. Now this is funny though, because 40 special forces troops, self-contained and with communications, their own communications van, were scheduled to arrive during the night at Cades Cove. They definitely can be dangerous, only Oscars. There's a lot of stories of these people, and that they are not very, let's say, kind to people who are not there. We'll say they've gone back to the clan mentality. That's what we'll say. For sure. We're on page 7 now. Oh, yeah.
Page 7?
Yep, you got it. Slide 7. Yep.
Can you take it down one?
Yes.
So various news media were covering the search, and many individuals had become involved. The headquarters dispatched and Cades Cove Ranger Station received hundreds of offers from individuals or organizations interested in searching for the Dennis. Jeeps, portable radios, maps, bloodhounds were among the offers made. Now, when we talk about the bloodhounds, they kind of brought them in because, or they didn't bring them in at first because of all the rain.
Right. Only Oscar says that'd be an odd existence, and I need my luxuries. You would have none.
You wouldn't be used to it. I mean, you were born into it. You would think it was normal.
Yeah.
So I was just making the point that the bloodhounds that weren't brought in until later, after the rain.
Yep. Well, they said the heavy rains.
Many persons having dogs were told to try their animals. A few did arrive, but were unable to obtain any results. The heavy rains on the first night were thought to be a factor which hindered the use of dogs. So the total force for this day was 300 rescue squad, Air National Guard, volunteers, and student foresters.
Like never flying first class. I could say I've flown a bunch, but I have never got to fly first class.
No,
never.
I ain't never got to fly except one time in a little bitty old remote control thing. He was taking me upside down and everything. I said, nope, not no more. Not for me.
I've only flown big commercial airliners.
This was like a biplane. I don't know. It was little. And to beat it all, my mom was in the co-pilot seat, and I was,
If she got her hand on that stick,
it was a wheel.
Oh yeah. And
well, not a full wheel, but you know how an airplane looks. Yeah. And he let her steer it a little bit, but yeah, bloodhounds are amazing searchers.
Yep. Tried at least once, huh? I'll have to try it once, first class.
So the American Red Cross, under the supervision of the Knox and Blount County chapters, came in during the day. And they provided food service made up entirely from donations from restaurants.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was a big thing.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Is it my turn?
I don't know.
Still 7.
Oh, so June 17th, which is on a Tuesday in 1969, Ranger Foster began an intensive grid search at Spence Field with the 50 students from Lake City Junior College, Florida. Trail searching continued and extended out of probable areas into possible areas. All possibilities were checked as manpower was available. So Anthony Creek and other Spence Field drainages were covered and recovered as they were every day. So they were checking the drainages over and over again to see if maybe he'd wash up,
Right.
you know. Another heliport was established at Russell Field. That's where special forces were assigned to the Eagle Creek and Jenkins Ridge trail area. 50 Tennessee Air National Guards arrived via 2 Air Force Jolly Green Giants.
Wow.
That would be cool to see, wouldn't it?
That would be.
Coming down out of the, yeah, that would be. And they joined the grid search at Spence Field. The HH-53 helicopters could carry government employees only and were used primarily for transporting the air guardsmen. Rescue squads and volunteers worked the Anthony Creek and West Prong of the Little River
Barbara.
areas in Tennessee. The U.S. Coast Guard even came in. The Coast Guard Auxiliary of Knoxville volunteered boats and men for Fontana Lake. They patrolled the north shoreline of the lake and transported searchers to the trails and drainages on the north shore.
Roy says he remembers that day in 69 because he had to take a bath that day. It was his yearly bath.
Yearly bath, Roy.
Yep. He was a stinky kid.
I wonder, did you really remember that day? I wasn't even born then.
I wasn't.
I know you're an old man, Roy, but you got to remember it then.
I wasn't a glimmer.
So Rangers, Cantrell and Cluse, North Carolina wildlife protectors, and volunteers further checked trails and drainages in North Carolina.
Only Oscar says yearly bath, LOL. He says he remembers before that. Before your bath, the bath washed everything away.
You ain't no good. Additional radios were obtained from Central Communications in Knoxville. Additional flagging tape was ordered for the grid searches. The Tennessee Valley Authority headquarters in Knoxville called and offered to help.
Wow. Supply area maps, huh?
Yeah, area quad maps were requested and received from TVA.
Well, that's interesting.
It is.
Now, the helicopters were unable to fly until approximately 11 a.m. due to ground fog. They flew 54 searchers to Spence Field and 16 to Russell. The majority of the searchers were transported by truck and jeep to the Bowl Mountain Road. Additional rains and heavy use made of the Boat Mountain Road made it difficult to negotiate. There were several staff and overhead were becoming very tired, putting in long hours. Several went back for rest, and other overhead relief were sent to Spence Field. Now, there's additional park manpower assigned to the operation on Tuesday afternoon, and these include Jimmy Ray, relief for Spence Field, Coy Hansen for Spence Field overhead, Jerry Couch was timekeeper, Ed Menning was crew leader, and Don Pledger was also a crew leader. Now, these traffic control stations were set up at Point at Boat Mountain Road, at Laurel Creek Road, Cades Cove Campground Parking Lot, and Cades Cove Helispot. Lodging and meals were arranged for government overhead personnel. Request was made for CIRO to alert additional overhead from, what was that? Serve areas if needed.
Yeah.
Search areas if needed. So total force for the day was 365. Isn't that crazy?
It keeps growing every day.
Yeah. Wednesday, Tony Stark comes back in. Iron Man's back. Roy says he's playing marbles in 65.
Yeah.
FBI searched. When do they ever show up for a missing persons case? And that's another thing that's weird about this is the FBI involvement and the Green Berets that come in.
Yeah.
When do Green Berets come in and search for people too? So that was another thing. So Tony Stark called and gave 4 names of other MPS area personnel to put on standby to be called in the following morning for the director's staff meeting. Now, later on that day, a cost report was called in to Mr. Stark because I guess he was paying for it all because he's a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
An emergency account number was assigned to the search operation. Tony Stark. Who would have known Tony Stark would have been in with all this?
Right.
Oh, page 9. So, are we wanting to just keep going like this? We're never going to finish.
We're never going to finish if we do.
We're already 47 minutes in.
Let's do a, let's get to some of the points.
Yeah.
Let's key points in the search and
86 pages. We just can't read. We can't read this. And if any of you want some of these 86 pages or the 86 pages and would like to look at this stuff yourself, email us.
Yeah.
info@paranormal411.org. And we'll send you these 86 pages. And so you could go through all of this stuff yourself. Yeah, it's a long report. Well, only Oscars. So I don't know how much of this report is out there in for everybody to look at. Can I say that?
Mm-hmm.
Because we got given all these reports, and it goes into handwritten reports here in a little bit. And we were given this by somebody who works in the park, used to work in the park services here in the Great Smoky Mountains. So I don't know if all of this is stuff that people A, know about, and B, it has been all released to be honest with you. Because again, he got this off of their computer systems at his work when he worked there, and he gave it to us. So some of this may not be released. We were trying to look for some of this information as we've been going over it for the last few weeks and stuff, and have not seen a lot of this information. Have we?
Mm-mm.
Roy says that might be classified info. I don't know. It doesn't say classified because it's park services.
I wanna do that one right there. What?
This one? It's 13.
Yeah. 13.
Yeah.
So this is what the plans that they had to if they found him or if they didn't find him.
Right.
And the strategy meeting was with the National Park Service and the Special Forces. So Chief Ranger set up a plan A if found alive and a plan B if dead. So under plan A, the boy would be taken by helicopter to the Knoxville headquarters of the U.S. Marine Reserves and then by ambulance to the University of Tennessee Hospital. That's if he was found alive.
Right.
So under plan B, the Blount County coroner would be called in and instructions to the finders of the boy. They would determine if he is dead or alive. Dead only if rigor mortis had set in. Notify Chief Ranger by most expeditions available and give the location and detail of the dead. They had to climb a tree and set a flag and build a smudge fire. Use a smoke bomb if it was the military or other, Cigna for a helicopter.
Right.
And they should stand by while special forces rappel a man in by helicopter and secure the boy, and if alive, or guard area until released by Chief Ranger and the coroner. They would get the name from the person or persons who found him. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Right.
In it.
Yeah, only Oscars, they are not usually forthcoming with the info. That's why we're saying we don't know how much of this stuff was ever really released, but we've been able to obtain these 86 pages that we have.
Yeah.
No cell phones at that time. Radios probably didn't work deep in the forest. Y'all might be getting a visit from what?
I thought I heard a helicopter.
From Cash Patel. Well, you know what? Sources and means we do not have to give up.
So see if you can find where they found the tracks.
Okay, let's see.
So apparently there were some child-sized footprints found near a stream during the search. I don't know if it's in this report. Maybe, I think I've read it though. But the footprints indicated that one of the feet was barefoot, didn't have a shoe on. And the other was wearing an Oxford shoe. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
In the description before, he had on Oxford shoes.
Yep.
Low cut.
Yep. Low heel.
And it matched the type that he was wearing.
Right.
However, this is something that irks me. The park officials dismissed the footprints as belonging to a Boy Scout. I just don't see why a Boy Scout would be barefoot.
Did they say what day it was that they found it?
No. But it is in, I don't know if you've heard of Dwight McCarter, but he was a retired park ranger and he wrote a book called The Missing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, he later suggested that the footprint was probably Dennis's.
Dan Bongino.
Because they didn't match any of the searches.
Right.
So I think it's in this report. I just don't know where.
I'm looking. Keep on talking.
So
I'm just on page 16, everybody.
remember,
Page 16.
You know,
they should have looked into the foot. Yeah, and that's some of the things that would make you mad when you read some of this stuff is the fact of what they did and didn't do and what they dismissed outright. Just like the people who said that they saw what they saw with the man or whatever they
Yeah.
described as a disheveled man or whatever going from tree to tree to tree with something red over its back. That right there says something, especially when they heard a yell, a scream.
Right.
So
Well,
Roy says he'll bail us out.
the
Thank you, Roy.
case, the case highlighted the need for better coordination and
Yeah.
communication.
Yep.
So it did influence future, protocols.
It did.
We could go back. We could go back to the psychic stuff.
Was that back or is that
Yeah, it's
forward?
back. I seen it on there. Oh, on down, up. Well, maybe it wasn't.
I thought it was at the end of all
Maybe
this.
it's at the end. But there were
Yeah.
psychics that chimed in. And
Didn't you say on your FBI?
yes. Let me pull the FBI file up.
You pull the FBI file up. Talk about that for
But
a
I
second.
don't know if I can see it.
So right now I'm just
It's
in
kind of
just
redacted.
cost. Yeah. They like to do that. Well, they still consider it an open case.
Mm-hmm.
That's another reason why it's crazy that we've got this stuff because, if you listen to David Paulides and Missing 411, he couldn't get, I don't think he could get what we have. They turned him down. Let's see. So here's some predictions. Predictions, suggestions, and suspicions.
Yep.
From Jeanne Dixon from Washington, D.C. said, look around the area where a boy was last seen playing. He went out on level ground, went down, was walking, did not stumble or fall, inclined and turned off, left at 40 to 50 degree angle and up a little, then went back down and would be underneath point of something. Now, the area where he turned left has shrubbery and is likely or thicketed, I think is what it's saying. I did not see any trees where he veered off to left, more or less bare ground. That's crazy. Harold from Los Angeles says he will be found 2.5 miles to the left of where he was last seen by father or brother, fell off steep place, hung up in bushes. Jeffrey Owens from Gatlinburg, Tennessee said he had drowned the last 2 nights about lost boy in drains. He is not very far from where he was lost. Night before last saw him lying on hill behind a log, but last night dreamed he had dragged himself down to the river for water.
Wow.
Says there were numerous other predictions, and the family was most receptive to these. Mr. Billy was a psychic from New Orleans, arrived on the June 25th, talked with the family, and headed for Rocky Top. On June 26th, Carson Brewer of Knoxville News Sentinel called and forwarded suggestions relieving from a lady telling us to start looking in trees and tree tops and stop looking on the ground. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Oh, these people. Now, this one right here, sounds pretty neat. They received a telegram from Mascot, Tennessee. They said, take several friendly dogs, including the boy's own dog, put package containing food and plastic raincoat around neck, release dogs 1 to 2 miles apart. He's sure dogs are lost, same as Dennis. By chance, one may find his trail and follow him for friendship. Dogs could be released by helicopter. Thank you. Some interesting stuff. One of the really interesting was on page 80 something, right?
Yeah.
81 or 82. Like I said, if y'all want these, if you just write us. Now, there is some redactions in this too, and I think that it's some personal information that has been redacted. But here's some Congress of the United States, House of Representatives stuff. Let's see. Here's another one from the United States Department of the Interior. Let me get all the way down here, though. Page 81, I think. Here. Just be easier for me to do this. Sorry, everybody. Nope. Maybe it was 80. I haven't even got into the. It's in the handwritten documents. I thought it was in the 80s.
It should have been.
Let's see here. I was just looking at this last night, talking about it. Let's see. Oh no, for some reason I'm thinking might have been in the 60s. Yeah, because I'm getting into handwritten notes and stuff now. So I think it was in 60s.
What are you looking for? The
shoes and
the shoes, yeah.
And the shirt that they found. I think it's right here. Nope. Oh yeah. Nope, it's not that particular one, but it is a White House message. Let's see. Or a call log.
So while he's doing that, I'll go through the.
There we go.
Oh, you found
Go ahead.
it?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to go through the theories. The feral human theory is, it suggests the involvement of wild people living in the mountains. What do you think about that? Wild people living in the mountains. So the theory suggests that Dennis may have been taken by individuals living off the grid in the remote wilderness of the Great Smoky Mountains. Harold Key, which we talked about him a little bit with the scream, I think, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. A visitor to the park reporting hearing a loud scream on the afternoon Dennis disappeared. And shortly after, he claimed to have seen a disheveled man covered in hair. Oh, it might have been Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm. This is what we're talking about right here.
Attempting to remain unseen, fleeing through the woods, Key's family elaborated that the figure had a red object slung over its shoulder, which matched the clothing that Dennis was wearing.
Right.
So despite the details, the FBI dismissed it or covered it up. One of the two.
Well, I mean, they've got their files out, but they're redacted. And do they say anything about it?
No,
Yeah.
I
So
don't think
they're
so.
hiding something. Yeah, only Oscars I do have sympathy, and it's terrible because it's been 50 years and no answers.
Yeah, they
No.
dismissed it because it was 5 miles from where he disappeared.
But the father and a park ranger made that exact same trek and was able to make it in less time from the time that he went missing to the time that those people seen it. They said that there was more than enough time to get there,
Right.
even though they dismissed it. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So there's a long distance telephone call record on 11/28/69.
What page is that?
57.
57.
Yep. Oh, you're in the FBI file one, aren't you?
Let's see.
I think so.
Yeah. Now let's go to the other one.
Yeah. Because like there's no 100 and something pages on ours. 57.
All right, there it is.
So this is the one I'm talking about right here. And this is another one of those with handwritten notes on the bottom of it and all that stuff. But this is a long distance phone call. Now the message says Mr. Martin asked where the items of Dennis's clothing were, which were brought up to searchers. So I guess they brought them up so dogs and stuff could smell them or whatever. He indicated the last he saw of them, they were in plastic bags and included a pair of shoes, socks, undershorts, and then a shirt. It was either a sweater or a shirt. Now he wanted the items back if possible. So he says, I informed him they were not at headquarters and must be at Cades Cove, and that I would check with Larry as soon as possible. Now, he wanted to know also where the items went that were brought in from the search. Now, these are things that they found during the search, and these were parts of shoes, an old handkerchief, a red shirt or sweater, which is what his son had on. And they told him, all I know of is an old rotted red garment that was almost completely decomposed. Some claim these feral humans or Sasquatch are killed by authorities and buried but refuse to release the location. Maybe. Autocorrect tries to make me look bad. There are accounts from 100 years ago. Yes. If you're talking about feral humans or Bigfoot, absolutely. Yes. Now that's what we find interesting, though, is the fact that he knew of an old red garment that was almost completely decomposed, which his son was wearing a red shirt. Now, Martin wants us to call him collect when we have any of Dennis's clothes, and they will come up to get them. So at the bottom, you see here, return to Clyde Martin, 12/6/69, shoes, loafers, undershorts, and a t-shirt. These are the only items we received from Bill. So I think it's interesting, and it shows, this is just a few months in now, to his son's missing and all the efforts that they're going in between trying to, find this stuff and get this stuff back, and then asking questions. I was told that there were things found, his father said that he always felt that they were keeping things from him and stuff like that. I think it's possible. For sure. It is possible because there are stories, old Native American stories about Bigfoot being coming in and eating women and children,
Yeah.
taking them and eating them. That they did do that.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And feral people, I think there'd only be a couple of reasons of why they would do anything, and that would be add people to their group or food.
Cannibalism.
Yep.
Cannibalism exists.
It does. Sure does.
A lot of people, love it. So in the end,
Yeah.
they never figured it out. I've heard from a few people. I can't imagine that. Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, we can't go through all of this.
Yeah, it's too long. Maybe we should have picked just a few things to show, but there's a whole lot more to talk about, especially from the.
Only Oscar says that she wants us to send it to her.
Okay. There was also part of the case involved a guy that was supposedly in the area.
Yes, he was a ginsenger.
Yes,
which was illegally poaching ginseng because you cannot dig ginseng on federal property.
Yeah, so he was poaching ginseng, and he came across what he said was a child's skeleton.
Yep.
And he didn't report it because he thought that he'd get in trouble for ginseng, which he probably would have.
Oh, it's a federal offense.
And but 20 years later, he came out and reported it. But by the time they did go back and look for it,
but they didn't find anything.
They didn't find it.
Nothing.
I would say it was already, if it was there, it would probably be already decomposed. The bones too.
Well, what a lot of people don't know, and it's an expensive route. Yes, I used to dig it with my uncle and stuff. So it is it grows naturally here. It is American ginseng. So, but what was I talking about before I got off of the ginseng, Jason? See, I just had a 50-year-old moment. I just turned 50. It just went
we were talking about the guy that was poaching ginseng. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is that, I've been way back in these mountains before. The pills are popular, are they? When you're ginseng, and ginseng don't just grow by the road, it grows out there a little ways. And it grows in specific places. I'll say that. Or there's specific places that it really likes to grow, and it can grow well.
Mm-hmm.
That's even a better way of putting it. And so if you could learn those habitats, then you could learn to where you could go and hunt ginseng.
Yeah.
But I could understand why he wouldn't want to go to prison.
Yeah.
Because it's a prison sentence. But at the same time, because it is a federally protected plant,
mm-hmm.
It has hunting season, just like deer hunting and everything else. So I could understand why he would do that. But something that I've learned in the recent that I did not know before is, did you know that squirrels and a lot of other animals eat bone?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like, the shed horns from deer and stuff like that, give it a couple years and they won't be there no more.
Right.
Because they actually eat them. It's a good source of calcium, and it also helps their teeth. So if it's in the right place, it could get eaten.
Yeah.
By these animals. So you give long enough period and it's not buried. Yeah, it could disappear. 100%. He probably could have, as long as he didn't have ginseng on him. Yep. Yep. The calcium. Now, I didn't know that until just the last couple of years. And it's because we had a deer shed horn on our property that was found, and it had a couple little bites taken out of it. Yeah. So I found it pretty intriguing. So, it's especially over a 20-year period of something that's just sitting there.
Yeah.
It is very possible that it could be gone. It could have literally been eaten.
I think it was 1980.
85, wasn't it, or something like that?
86 that they finally come out and said he thought he found the body.
Yeah.
Or the skeletal remains. So, but they went back and it wasn't there.
Right.
And a lot of people today are still searching for him.
Yeah.
I mean, they go out and look for him.
Well, it's still an open case, and that's is amazing about us having what we have.
Yeah.
Because like only Oscar said, they don't just give this information out, but we had somebody on the inside that trusted us. So
plus we got maps.
Yeah,
we got a lot of stuff.
And he gave us like stacks of maps and all kinds of stuff. Came in with all this information. So we definitely are happy that we got this information, and we might put this together in a little bit better way.
Yeah.
And bring out some more stuff that we was not able to talk about today. But in general,
yeah,
the boy went missing. He has never been found. And
there were a lot of strange circumstances.
A lot like FBI, special forces being there. Name a case anywhere where someone's went missing and special forces has come in and looked.
Well, I recall when Mount St. Helens erupted, there were special forces brought in.
They were
from the stories, the witnesses, to help the Sasquatch.
Yes,
because they were burning up, dying.
Yep,
it's weird. Maybe.
Yep.
I've never heard of special forces going in on a missing persons.
Yep. Yeah, I never have ever. And you don't really hear about it on the FBI side either.
Mm-mm.
There's another little weird twist. David Paulides talks about this too. Did you know that the head FBI guy, after all this was over, a few years later committed suicide?
Did not know that.
Hey, Steven. How you doing, buddy?
Steven, man, we are almost finished.
Yeah, we're actually
at the end.
We're actually 18 minutes over. We're glad that you stopped in, though, for sure. Yeah, the only one, and we do wonder why too, because it's really weird that you have Green Berets coming in and looking for somebody.
It's hard to put down, ain't it, Stephen? Once you get to reading it, it's hard to put down.
Yeah. Yeah. Stephen, since you know this case really well, maybe you want to hit us up and, get some of these files that we have been given to us. Cause I don't think you could get them anywhere else, to be honest with you. Yeah, the Green Berets, it's weird that they came in. It really is.
So, Stephen, what do you think happened to the boy?
Yeah. Do you
have an outcome, I guess, of what happened to him?
And another thing about the Green Berets is that they chose to work with themselves. They set up their own communications. Right. They didn't work with any of the other agencies that were there.
Right.
They worked completely separate. A Bigfoot or a portal. It's possible. I mean, big, hairy, disheveled man was seen carrying something red over its shoulder 5 miles away from where it happened.
A
So,
scream and then seen that.
yeah.
And it was,
And it was trying to hide itself by going between trees. It's, Barbara says she'd love to have a copy. It's very, 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 very interesting.
mhm.
You know, and a lot of people want to just hit on those things and not go very much further in to it, right? They want to stick with these weird stuff, but it's weird just everything that happened. I mean, the way it happened, he was just right there. Things that were ignored, like the footprints he was talking about, you know, and all that kind of stuff. It's all together when you pile this up.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's really weird.
I'm not sure that it would have been a kidnapping because he would be older now. And
50 years older than he was. So he'd
yeah,
been
so
56.
he would be like 50,
No.
about
No.
60.
Yeah, because this happened in what, 60?
If he was still alive, I think he would come out and say, you know,
Yeah.
I got away and I'm this guy. Do you think, unless they brainwashed him? I don't know.
He was 6, going to turn 7 that next week. So it's pretty possible that someone got him and, you know, brainwashed him.
Hmm.
It is possible. For sure.
Yep.
And that's another thing. I mean, I think at the height of it, there was 400 people or so looking for Dennis, wasn't there?
1,400.
1,400.
1,400.
Yeah. So, I mean, by the day, it almost grew in number.
And then 4 months, it gradually went back down.
Started going
down.
But his father stayed there for 6 months.
Yeah.
I think it was 6 weeks, wasn't it? 6 weeks.
David probably has memories, but
I do. I have memories from all the way from being. I could remember before I was 2. Yeah. Pretty
like
vividly remember.
Elephant.
Yeah, I could remember very vividly before I was 2.
I can remember certain parts, but
yeah,
I would know who my mother or father was.
I don't know. I can't say that. He was taken alive, whether it was creature, ET, he disappeared. It's like the woman that disappeared in front of her friends without a trace. Yeah. I was also watching her case too. And she was on a school field trip up there. And she went out of sight because she was trying to get something or something. I forgot what it was. Stopped to tie her shoe. It was something crazy. They made it all back to the bus. She wasn't there. They went back up to find her. They couldn't find her anywhere. But now what's crazy about her story too is that she had a stalker, a person who had tried to kidnap her or something like that a couple of times before. But they never found her. Not a trace of her. So yeah.
She might have been supper.
Maybe. There's a few disappearances and stuff up in the Smokies. We're one of David Politis's missing 411 hotspots.
Yeah.
So do not go into the woods without protection. What does he say? A buddy. Never go alone. And never. He always says that point of separation is always one of the things where 2 people decide to go 2 different ways or do 2 different things. One of them never comes back. Boulder fields, things like that. It's pretty crazy. 1 year later, just about to the day, there's a BFRO report seeing a creature similar to what the Key family seen. It was described as a Bigfoot. Well, I mean, they almost described a Bigfoot. I mean, if you really think about it, they described a hairy, disheveled man carrying something red over its shoulder. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yosemite is another one he talks a lot about.
Yeah.
Point of separation. Be careful.
Do not separate.
Yes. Point of separation. Point of separation. Like I said, we've got some maps that were given to us that tells us where about all this stuff from somebody that was in it, but also we have a map telling us where feral people are.
Mm-hmm.
And this is people in the Park Service that gave us these maps to go find where feral people are. So we're gonna test it out. We're gonna try it. Matter of fact, the person that used to work in the Park Service says that he wanted to come with us when we did it. So it's kind of interesting.
All right.
Most visited parks in yes, it is. Well, Stephen, we've literally got maps given to us from someone that worked in the Park Service telling us where to find feral people. Armed is absolutely what's going to happen. Armed, and we are not going to separate because
we're going to have like a string tied to each person holding them.
I might need more than a string. You might need a small rope. Yes, only Oscars. It's who you know, or who feels comfortable giving you the information and knowing that you're not going to rat them out. Steven says, I got ammo, snacks, and beer. Woo!
Heck yeah.
A phone. Yes.
I got a camper.
Yeah. Yeah.
We go camping.
We could go right down to Cades Cove since it's not that far from Cades Cove. Park at the Cades Cove and walk up.
And you can drive most of them trails with a 4x4. I mean, you can drive to them.
Yep. Well, that's where he was at, but that's not where the feral people are.
Yeah.
Never giving up the source because, these people give us information. Like I said, I think these 86 pages are something that you cannot just find anywhere. Like I said, there's tons of handwritten notes pertaining to the case that are in those files. So it's amazing. And we want to thank everybody for listening tonight. We have gone almost a half an hour over, Jason.
Yeah, thank you for listening. It might have been a little jumbled up, but we tried.
Well,
it's hard to go by the report. It's hard to read.
Yeah.
Well,
with that, I mean, we try to give just general information about it and then try to go into some of the juicier stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Only Oscars. We want to thank everybody for showing up tonight and listening to the show on whatever it is that you're listening to, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or what's the last one, Jason? Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Any of those three? Just the facts. Yes. We had fun with this one. What did I give it to you about a week ago?
Yeah, and I couldn't put it down.
I've had it for some time now. And then Jason was like at the beginning of the week or just at the end of last week, he was like, Dave, send me those files. I want to read them. And then Jason's like, we're going to do that at the show this Thursday.
I've read them about twice, printed them off, looked at it again, looked up some of the park rangers, the retired one that has the book, watched a bunch of shows about it.
Yeah.
It's widely publicized, and people do a lot on this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we did anything different, but I hope you enjoyed it.
Right. Well, the one thing that we do have different is we do have 86 pages of documents.
Yeah.
and as we was talking about some of them, you actually got to see the documents on the screen. And so, you know, if nothing else, we got to show you snippets of that. Like I said, if anybody wants us to send them a copy of those documents, just let us know. Email us. Right.
Yeah. Email us and I'll email you back. Of course, remember you can join us at the Knox Public Library on Cedar Bluff on Saturday, October the 11th at 2 p.m. We're going to be doing a presentation again.
Woo! Hey, if you missed the first one and you live around here or you're going to be in the area,
we have new evidence to present, so we will be presenting some new evidence at this one.
Yes. Yeah.
And we also will be at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Festival in about 3 weeks. May the 3rd. It's on a Saturday. Come see us there. And one more festival. Well, 2 more festivals. The Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference will be July the 26th on a Saturday. It's always fun. It's a real big festival up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Come see us.
Yep.
And I don't have the exact date, but we will be at the Upper Cumberland Bigfoot Festival.
Yep.
In Crossville, or is it Cookville?
Yep. It's Crossville.
Crossville, Tennessee.
Yep.
That will be, I think, October.
I thought it was October also.
Yeah, October.
Yep.
I'll get the exact date, but that's where we're going to be this year.
Yep. Unless anybody invites us anywhere else, then we're going to go for sure.
Yes.
But want to thank everybody for joining us and showing in. Like I said, anybody that wants copies of these, if we don't have your email, if you would just email us info@paranormal411.org. That is info@paranormal411.org. And so then that way we will know where to send them to. And that would be greatly appreciated. So remember, you can find us at paranormal411.org. Paranormal 411 on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. Tune in live every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturdays from 8 to 10 Eastern Time. Remember also on Saturday from 10 to 11, if you're in the metro Atlanta area, you catch us on WDJY FM. That's 99.1 FM. And for listeners outside of Atlanta, hey, you can still listen. It's at WDJYFM.com, or you click the link on our website. So we're also on Subspace Radio and all major podcast platforms. We do have a book, right?
We do.
That's East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore Edition 2. East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore Edition 2. They're flying off the shelves, everybody. You need your copy. Remember, they're available on Amazon or at paranormal411.org. You can join us. And remember, if you come see us at any of these festivals, you could get your book signed, or you could buy a book and have it signed there.
Oh, yeah.
So join us.
Join us, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good night. Only Oscar says the book is easy to read.
Have you ever wondered what lurks in the shadows? What secrets the night hides? What strange phenomena might be happening just beyond your perception? Join us as we journey into the world of the paranormal, exploring everything from ghosts and UFOs to cryptids and unexplained occurrences. From haunted houses to all things paranormal, join us in the search for the truth behind the veil. Welcome to Paranormal 411.